Hello, friends on the internet. I'm Chase Jarvis. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Creative. This is a fun little show we started not too long ago. It's where I answer your questions about the challenges you are having on your quest to become either an aspiring or a professional creative. I've been down that road. I have lots of friends. I have a lot of experience, and I want to answer your questions. This is a show to call. Finn, my good companion back there, Finn on the couch, has many questions, has hundreds of them queued up. We're going to attack a few today. Finn, let me have it.
Hello, Chase. This is Chris Advil.
Hello, Chris.
My struggle is probably a long-winded question.
Never preface your question with having a long-winded question.
I'm wondering, do I need to be an influencer or aim to be an influencer in order to gain traction on certain clientele?
Is that it? That's all right. I think it's a great question, and I'm going to break it down for you very directly. No, you do not need to be an influencer to make a living and a life doing what you love as a creative. So there's a handful of little sub things in there. That's the top line is no. Now, do people need to know about you in order to hire you? Duh. Yes, that's an obvious answer. Do you have to be considered a influencer? I don't love the term. I didn't make up the term. I'm just using it because you used it and because the internet uses it. But the answer is no. And here, like I would say that 99% of the photographers, 99% of the designers, the architects, the entrepreneurs are not an influencer in the space. They have a great business that's made up of customers that they have pleased over and over again, who continue to give them money, and they provide an amazing product or service. They're not influencers. I just made a video. What was the name of that video? Do you remember, Finn? I just made a great video that I want to reference. Actually, I'm going to write it on the board while Finn tracks it down. What's it called? Nasa, you made it. What's the name of the video?
I'm blanking.
She's blanking. We're all blanking. I just made a video. Okay. While he's looking.
Work-life balance.
What's that?
Yeah, work-life balance is a myth.
Work-life balance. This is some prescription that you have to go watch this video. Is a myth. How do you spell myth? That's right. Is a myth. That's an H. That's a good video for you to go watch, because in that video I talk about the desire or the complications that are created when you folks at home, folks like myself or Casey Neistat or Gary Vaynerchuk or iJustine, or people who have made part of their living or their persona or their business, they've built it online. What I see people who watch our videos, those videos, and they think that that's the path. If that's not your nature, if that's not something that you enjoy doing, if that is not something, well, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. Like, that's just one path, and that's the thing that I think is the most beautiful part of the world that we're living in right now, is there are a million paths to any one end. And what I see people, sometimes I hear, besides being inspirational, and it's just me or fill in your online hero here, that sometimes that creates anxiety because you don't have this many followers or this much engagement or this many, you're not making these videos. It's not required. And if anything, take a little piece from what I'm saying, a little piece from someone else and someone else and someone else, put those together and have the thing that you are be a reflection of you, not all these online characters that you see. That actually doesn't put money in your bank account. What puts money in your bank account is A, being great at your craft, doing something that you love where when shit gets hard, and it will, you can blow through those walls, make a great product or a service, and have people call you back, subscribe to your deal, whatever it is, give you money over and over and over. So, short answer, no, doesn't require success in any of these creative fields, does not require you to be an influencer. Go back to what I said at the top of the question though. Do people need to know about you and your work? Yes. In order to hire you, if they don't know about you, they can't hire you. So how do you become known? You don't have to get known on the internet circles of design and architecture and all the other things. You just need to be known where your customers are. So figure out who they are, where they are, what they look at, what they pay attention to. Is it print news advertising? Is it television, late night cable, you need to find out where your customers spend their time and attention. I do find that there is value in creating content and distributing it on social networks because it's free and relatively easy. But there's a difference between becoming an influencer and spending so much time and energy. This has been built up over like a decade, at least probably. So like, don't let that decade-long head start that some other people have get in the way of you realizing that you can make money tomorrow by knowing who your clients are, making great shit that they love, and giving you money. I think that's a good answer. Is that good? Pat myself on the back again for that one. This is a toy hand. I don't know where. This is super random. You guys send me random stuff. I open it, and sometimes weird shit like this comes out. Great question. What was that person's name?
That person's name is Chris.
Chris, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your woes and your challenges. I like to answer those questions because I think it helps a lot of people. That question is a question I've had before, but the first time on the Daily Creative. All right, next question. Finn, thank you. I'm going to chug some water while this is happening.
You're going to wear that hand out, patting yourself in the back so much.
That's a good saying, like, don't break your arm, patting yourself in the back.
This is Teresa Meyer, I'm an artist down in Portland, Oregon. So my question is, I guess, a marketing-related question, and it's really how do you transition from a student into paid work? So I graduated with an MFA last year in photography,
cool.
And I'm just really starting to get into the paid professional world. I feel like I'm doing everything right, and I'm getting my work out there and showing it to people, and I've been somewhat successful. I had my work featured in the March-April issue of Communication Arts, but it was a student showcase.
That's cool.
And so people are still like, oh,
it's a good
student
start.
Work. So yeah, I'm just kind of struggling with that, and could use your advice.
All right. Teresa, awesome question. I'm going to summarize it in a half a sentence. How do I make money? That's what you're asking, is how do I transition from being a student where I'm not making any money and I'm doing projects for school and for my professors and for my social followers and my friends to actually getting paid. And this is on your journey of becoming a professional creative, which is not every question on the show is about that, right? Right. And my prescription for you, Teresa, is to break that down into some smaller questions. And by that I mean, I don't know what was she? She was she's a photographer. So in breaking those down, what kind of photography do you do? Who are people that might want to pay you to do the work? Like, you have to think, like, you're doing an analysis. This is business 101. Who would be a logical purchaser of your work? And where do they hang out? Where do they write checks? How do they learn about photographers like you? And then you have to put yourself there. You have to go to where your customers are. So you see, and then the idea of what do you do? Where do the people that buy that kind of stuff hang out? And what do they think? And how can you insert yourself there? And then how much to charge? How much? Like, these are all separate things that if you break these down into just like, oh my God, how do I make money? It's going to be a lot easier, because when you ask a very specific question, it's much easier, like on this show or on the internet or on CreativeLive or anywhere you can get resources. When you ask a narrow question, it's easy to find a great answer. So I do expect you to call back with some more specific questions in the, over time here. And I can get more into depth, but it's important that you know that your question has A, been heard, B, is super popular, so I don't want you to worry about it. C, you answer those questions big question by breaking them down into smaller pieces and then thinking about each of those things independently. I'm going to make some assumptions, and I'm going to pretend that you are a commercial photographer, that you love action sports photography, and you want to make a living. And so this is how I would think about it. Great. This is the area of action sports that I'm specifically passionate about. I love kayaking. People hucking off big waterfalls and all that stuff. I'm assuming here. So who are your types of clients? Well, you have magazines. You have all the people who are in the paddling world that could potentially hire you. These are kayak companies and PFD companies and travel companies and what is it called? Tourism companies, and so you're going to find a list of clients, and you're going to like find out who writes checks inside of those companies for that work, who is the photo editor at the top magazines. You're going to take a bunch of pictures of that stuff, whether it was in school or more likely stuff that you have honed a great portfolio, and then you're going to put that portfolio in front of those people over and over and over, and you're going to try and visit them, you're going to try and show them your portfolio, you're going to mail them shit, you're going to find them at installations and exhibitions and trade shows, and you're going to become friends with these people so that they know who you are, they know that you're a badass, and they'll start to buy your work. So just like think about it in those terms. I broke it down into a bunch of different sort of pieces, and then you can attack those pieces. There's a whole different world about how much to charge. There's more questions like that that you can hear on this show, but I appreciate your calling in. Again, I already gave you a bunch of resources. I think we're getting a little bit long on this show, so I'm going to call it like first of all, Teresa, thank you for calling. I just realized that over the past like sort of 10 questions, that 7 of them have been men. And I want 50-50. I want, so thank you, Teresa. I know that so many women listen to this show. Don't be afraid to call in. I want to hear your questions. I want to represent the whole population. Diversity, inclusion, let's get all the questions on the table. If you want your question answered, I answer these questions on the show. 802-962-4357. That spells the word help. 802-962-4357. Leave me a voicemail, maybe even leave your number. I might call you back. I have called some random people back. And tell us your coordinates. We'll put them on the screen here. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. If you're overseas, add a +1 in front of that number. Charges may apply, but it's like $1. People, it's worth it. I love you. Thank you for being a part of this. Comment, like, share, and subscribe, for God's sakes. That brings this episode of Daily Creative to a close.